Alright, I recently learned, actually today, I learned to find my own protagonist's main flaw. I learned this from Abby Emmons, which I followed a video through, and I want to tell you in this video the process I went through and how I discovered my fatal flaw of my main character. So, the first step number one that I went through was to figure out my own story's main theme, the main story truth of what I wanted like the entire book series to be about, what I wanted my main character to realize, because that's ultimately what a story truth is. It's an aha moment where the character goes after what he wants, what he thinks will bring him happiness, and then he has to learn the truth. Now, I have two questions you can ask yourself to figure out your story truth, which I asked myself. The first one is, if you could have a change in the world, what would that be? The second one is, if there was one truth you could scream out from the top of the rooftop, what would you scream that out to your character or the world? Now, I used the first question, and I figured out for my own book series, what I ultimately wanted was people to understand that they can become better, that they can create their own lives, and they can chase their own dreams, they can change, and they can achieve what they want. They can reach their own potential. That's a bit of the things I wanted to tell people. But really it's that suffering and pain, choosing discomfort in order to grow is more meaningful than choosing comfort, seeking out, thinking that comfort will bring a happiness ultimately. And I think like all of us want happiness. That's why I guess we have certain beliefs. For example, a flaw, a misbelief, is basically this truth just flipped on the side, flipped on top. So if I think that, if I want to give the truth of you can become better through pain and suffering and it will be meaningful, if I flip that, my main character's misbelief might be comfort is safe and will bring me most happiness, and pain and suffering is meaningless, it's madness. That could be the misbelief. Now, this belief is really just a faulty road to happiness that the character believes he will gain. So in my case, Roman Peterson, my main protagonist, he believes that gaming, that junk food, that being in a comfortable environment and not chasing discomfort or pain or suffering, avoiding all of those things, that will give him the most happiness in life. But it's a misbelief. It doesn't lead to the results he wants in life, and he doesn't get that happiness. And that's sort of it with finding the faulty flaw. That you have to flip the script of what your story's truth is, and that will tell you what the misbelief is. And then the step number 2 or 3, I don't fully remember, is to figure out, okay, well, where did this misbelief form? Where did it become something the protagonist believed? And then you have to look back in the backstory. That's something I haven't done yet. I'll do it like tomorrow. I'll figure out what kind of scene exactly made my protagonist believe this misbelief. And that scene of backstory will tell you why your character believes, or why your protagonist believes this one misbelief so truly. I guess that's sort of the point with a transformation. That's what makes a transformation, a story, satisfying. That we see a protagonist which is flawed, which has a big fatal flaw, go after something he wants based on that misbelief, but then realizing at a point sooner or later in the story, realizing that the goal he has been chasing has been based on a lie. And then he realizes what he needs, what the story truth is, what he really should be believing. And then we get that satisfying change in the character. So yeah, that's how I figure out my own protagonist's main flaw. Yeah. That's another day into a very long journey. Take care.